Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and in today's video I've got another LED light install. So the LED lights I'll be installing today are these little rear I guess brake light slash park light, running light little things. Now these are actually marketed as, I believe, it says auto and motorcycle. They were just the right size, pretty much, so it doesn't bother me whether they're meant for a motorbike or a car. I pretty much measured up the stock reflectors that are on the car and pretty much just went on eBay and started to see what I could find that was around the same size. So these are pretty much the closest thing I can find. I think these are a little bit smaller in length. I don't think too much in width, but definitely overall length. But luckily they still actually have that bolt in the middle, which is great, so I won't have to bother with aligning it and stuff like that, because the factory reflectors in the bumper already have a little stud with a nut on there that goes through the bumper, so these will pretty much bolt straight in. I'm just going to have to obviously wire it in. Now the great thing about these is not only do they have like a parking function, they also have a brake light function as well. So there's 3 wires in the back of these, so obviously you've got your ground and then you've got your high and your low beam, which obviously low will be your running lights, so your parking lights, and then when the brake comes on they get brighter, that's the high. The only thing I can see quality wise with these straight off the bat is they haven't really sealed around the back here where the wires go through, so I'll probably put a little bit of silicone on that, and then once it dries bolt them straight in, and yeah, I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so got a little tube of silicone here. I'll have to pull these straight upwards. Get a bit of that. Alright, that's definitely way too much. The good part is I can actually just take a razor blade to this before it sets properly, and that way I can just clean it up. But move on to this one now. Same sort of thing. There. Alright, yeah, that one is substantially neater. This here is the reflector in question. Now, it's pretty straightforward to pop this out. There is just a singular 10mm bolt at the back of this, and yeah, they should pop out. Obviously, if you've never removed them before, they might be a little bit of a pain, but just a good old little tap with a screwdriver or something and should pop straight out. Alright, so for this next part you're going to need either a 8mm socket or a spanner. What I'll do is I'll grab my phone and we'll use that to get a bit of a view of it. Alright, so that nut in the middle there, that is the one we want. So let's see if I can get. And then once you crack it loose, you should be able to just undo it by hand. Nut is taken off, and then we can just push. There we go. Push it out. Simple as that. That there is the stock Suzuki reflector. This is a little aftermarket one. They're essentially almost the same size. Really not much of a difference in them. So this is what that little spot will look like in the bumper once you take that reflector out. So as you can probably see, there's a hole, and then there's also a little ovaled out hole there, which is for that little alignment pin on the stock reflectors. So it should be as simple as just bolting that little LED light into that spot, and then luckily we've got both of these cutouts here to actually have the wires running through. So anyway, I'm going to let that silicone dry for a little bit longer, and then I'll pop that into there and start with the wiring, I guess. I'll probably also pop out that side off camera as well, since it's the exact same process as that. Alright, so something I've just noticed is the bolts on these here are 2 different sizes. So you've got the reflector on the left and the light on the right, and as you can see, the studs that come through there are slightly different. So that one is the 8mm nut and that one's probably a 10mm, so That means we're going to have to drill out that hole a tiny bit, which luckily I've got appropriate drill bit for that, which for anyone who is curious, it is a 6mm drill bit. So yeah, I'll do that on the other side, and then once this is properly dried, we'll start the course of the wiring. Alright, so I've got a bit of a game plan going, so I'm going to use these 3 piggyback connectors on the closest one of these lights to the back right tail light, which is the one I'll be tapping into for the parkers and brake signal. And then on the other one here, I'm just going to put the blade or spade terminals, which will plug into that. And then for the other wire, I can then just use some of the female connectors there, and then I should be able to make a little bit of a harness out of those two. Just ran into a bit of a dilemma. These little harnesses that come on there are not actually long enough to meet with each other in the middle, depending how much wire I've got that's the appropriate size. I can just still tap into one tail light, which will be the passenger side rear, and I'll just run the loom through the back of the bumper. But now I'm going to pull this tail light out. So you've just got two 10mm bolts, and then that is the tail light loose, and then it takes a little bit of finessing to come out, but there we go. What I will do is unplug this wiring harness. That way I can actually have the entire tail light out, so I can tap into the wires that way rather than having to do it while it's still attached to the car. Whoop, because that's a pain in the ass. I'm usually against using metal things on wiring harnesses, but my little plastic wiring harness tools have finally given up. Keep getting in the bloody way. Oh, that's awesome. Make sure you're prepared to grab it, because I just shattered the fucking tail light. I've actually decided to go ahead and use the ground on the tail light as the ground that is inside of here for the rear trail lights. I forgot I actually had to remove that entire trim to put a grounding wire down there, so I don't want to do that again. But yeah, we'll just see, I guess. Now I should be able to chuck the tail light back in. And yeah, a bit of a shame I fucking smashed the end of that. But luckily the wife got onto a wreckers, so go pick up another one of these. Luckily, I can still keep my harness. I'll just take all the lights out. Anyway, I'll chuck this back in, pop the wiring through, and I'll go from there. So, slight change of plans. I've actually pulled this little harness that I made out of the vehicle harness, because just figured out why run the wiring through the car when I can just run it down the bumper. Which would certainly make it a lot easier. Alright, so got the tail light back in. Haven't bolted it in yet, just kind of pushed it in on the clips. And then I've got, yeah, you can't really see where the wiring goes, but yeah, got like the wiring running in that little bit of wiring sheath down behind here. So down that way, follows the curve, and then yeah, pops out there. So that should hopefully be plenty of wire to kind of get it across, and yeah, now I can actually start. Well, actually, before I do anything, I need to actually test and make sure these wires are live and that they're all sort of contacting properly with the wires on those little clamp connectors. And yeah, once I've verified that that's working, I can start wiring. Alrighty, so got these wires here, so got them stripped off just so I can touch the wires on these lights just to make sure that everything is working. So alright, cool. So that's the parking lights. Ground is connected. I'm not sure if that's low. Alright, so that must be low. So that's Parker. Yeah, because that's, yeah, that's brighter. That's darker. Alright, so all of that is now temporarily wired up, so I can going to leave the camera, but that's actually going to see that. I'm going to jump in the car, tap the brakes, and we'll make sure that gets brighter. You're going to know before I do whether or not that actually works, so I'm going to quickly re-watch the video and make sure they actually turned onto the brake light setting, which is a bit brighter. Alright, well, just watched the video back and that definitely does turn on with the brake lights, so that's bloody awesome. At least now I know what wires go to what wires on the actual lights, so yeah, next part I guess now is put the wiring terminals on, get ready to bolt them in, and yeah, should be good. Last minute thing, I've just painted the inserts. Well, I've painted that one. I'm going to paint the insert on this side because obviously these are a fraction smaller than the original ones, the original reflectors. Very, very slight difference, but when you put them in, you can sort of see the body color around the actual part of the light, which, let's see if I can just put that through and I'll show you. As you can see there, you can still see a lot of the body color around it. So what I'm doing is painting them black, or at least the back of it black. That way it kind of hides the fact that they are a tiny little bit smaller in most dimensions. Yeah, once that one dries, I'll put in that side. I'm about to mask up this side and yeah, start prep for paint. But the lights bolted in and made them even. I didn't really need to center them because there's already a hole there. But when I was tightening them, they were trying to spin, which is what I expect because there's no locating pins on the back of those. But about to just connect it once again loosely, just to make sure that it's good. I'll test it again, and then once I verify that it's actually good and it all works, I'll chuck the electrical wiring sleeve thing on there, and then yeah, should be good. Alright, quite a fair bit of time later, all the wiring is tucked nice and high up. I got it zip tied above the license plate area. Yeah, pretty good. It's not hanging down or anything like that, so it is not likely to get snagged on anything. But in the middle of all that, I actually forgot to check if these actually work or not. I guess I'm about to find out now. Cool. Alright, they both seem to be on low, which is good. Alright, now for brake. Alright, well, I call that bloody mission successful right there. I think I've got them aligned pretty well. Obviously I'll go over it in a little bit. See, I think that one's a tiny bit sort of sideways, but it's alright. Well placed flathead screwdriver will fix that up. Alrighty, so I've just gone for a little drive for the moment just to see if I blow any fuses or anything like that, but seems pretty good so far. If I put the foot on the brake, I'm still seeing red lights at the back of the car, so that's always good. I don't think those little lights are really going to add much load, if any. So yeah, I'm going to go stick this on a tripod before it continues pissing down rain, and yeah, just kind of see what they look like. So, overall pretty happy with how the car looks. they're good, and the fact that they fit in that spot in the bumper is pretty cool. So they look like reflectors when they're not on, and when they are on, they just look kind of cool, at least in my opinion. And it's just one more piece of the puzzle for the back of this car. Anyway, I think that's about it for this video. Got any questions, leave them down below. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, all means the world to me. Definitely a lot more videos coming. Stay keen. And I'll catch you in the next one.